Senator Orrin Hatch is with us today with a view from Washington on what this day actually means for America. Tell me, what does this mean if there is a filibuster-proof Senate and Barack Obama is the President of the United States?
One of the most important things about our constitutional way of life is that we have checks and balances. The Senate has always been a check on really outrageous legislation. And the filibuster rule, which is Rule 22 in the Senate, that allows the minority to protect itself and to protect the country from really, really outrageous legislation like the card check bill. Now, the Democrats call the card check bill the Employee Free Choice Act. It's anything but that. But that bill says that if union organizers, and these are not little people,
right,
if they come to the homes of your employees and they get 50% of your employees plus one to sign a union card, you're unionized against your will without a secret ballot election.
Okay, now hang on just a second. It really is they can come to your employee's home.
Well, they can get you in bars, they can get you anywhere. They can, but they'll generally go to the homes, and these people are going to sign cards everywhere where they've had the card check legislation enacted. The businesses have become 85% unionized. It's, you know, even George McGovern is against that. To think that the Democrats would do away with a secret ballot election. Now, by the way, Glenn, that's not the worst part of the bill. Either side can demand mediation within 90 days if you can't get a collective bargaining agreement put together, and the unions will never allow you to do that. Why? Because at the end of those 90 days, you have to succumb to government-mandated, government-run arbitration, where the government sets the wages, terms, and conditions of employment for your business. I mean, my gosh, it's
Senator, I don't know what has happened to our country. We are swinging so far to the left.
Well, I hate to tell you, that bill is not the worst. It's the worst thing as far as I'm concerned, but there are a lot of bad things. If we don't have that firewall of at least 41 solid Republican senators, then I think it's over for our country in a lot of ways, because we're going to go straight to socialism. And, of course, if you look, I like Barack Obama as a human being. He seems to be a decent, reasonable, nice, intelligent, good-looking man who's very charismatic. But if you look at what he's been saying over the last year or so, it's all platitudes and generalities on so-called change. I mean, really. When it comes, we're in a time in our lives where national security and foreign policy are extremely important, and nobody doubts that John McCain is head and shoulders above Barack Obama there.
Senator,
and when you go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just have to go back before you move on. I want to go back because you're not a guy who is known for being a bomb thrower. You are a guy who has always been. You're an old school senator. You're the kind of guy that you get together afterwards and you say good things about each other and you fight hard. But when it's over, it's over. You just said on this program that in a lot of ways the country is over if we don't have a filibuster capability in the Senate. What do you mean by that?
Let me give you an illustration. I had one Democrat. I said, "Are you with me on card check?" And the Democrat said, "Oh yeah, it's a terrible bill." But then he said, "But I'm voting on cloture. I'm voting for cloture." I said, "Come on." I said, "That's the whole vote." I said, "If we can't stop that with extended debate, then it isn't going to be stopped. And once that goes through, the card check bill, I think it's going to be very difficult to get America back, because it would take 60 votes. We've never had 60 votes as a Republican Party. It would take 60 votes to have the unions have to conform to the campaign laws like everybody else has to. We've never been able to do that. In fact, Glenn, here's something. As you know, I've been trying to raise money for Republican senators all over the country to try and prevent the loss of this firewall. And I've had a few Republicans say, "Well, I'm mad at Republicans, too, because they should have done more, they should have done this." And I said, "No, wait a minute." I said, "I've been in the Senate for 32 years. There has not been one day where the fiscally conservative point of view has been in the majority. Not one day in the Senate. Now, why is that? Because we always have 4, 5, or 6 liberal Republicans who go with the almost all liberal Democrats. The closest we ever came was the last Congress, where we had you know, we had 55 Republicans and 45 Democrats, but even then, by the time you took the liberals who would go with the Democrats, it was at best 50-50. So we really have never had the majority necessary to be able to cause the unions or even liberal Democrats to have to conform with the laws that everybody else has to conform with.
Senator, do you believe, I mean, when I heard Barack Obama talk about the Constitution, and I thought, we are at the point, or we are very near the point, where our Constitution is hanging by a thread.
You got that right. And let me tell you, what is really fearful to me, besides there are so many issues, but I've mentioned card check. What's fearful to me is the makeup of the United States Supreme Court. Obama has said that he's going to appoint people who are more concerned about the poor and those who don't have a lot of wealth. Well, that's not what the Supreme Court should be doing. It should be concerned about the poor, the wealthy, everybody. Yeah. It should be concerned about obeying the law and enforcing the laws of the Constitution.
Justice is supposed to be blind.
You what?
Justice is supposed to be blind. I mean,
you got that right. Now, he's made it very clear that it isn't going to be blind, that they're going to sway the court in favor of what he considers to be the poor. The problem is the poor are constantly changing, and millionaires are constantly changing. The greatest thing about this country is that you can be poor, raised poor, and wind up a multimillionaire because of the opportunities that this country offers you. Now, if you change the Supreme Court to where it isn't obeying the law, that means the Supreme Court becomes a super legislature. None of those judges or justices are elected to those positions. They're appointed for life. And the Democrats want to make it a super legislature that will pass legislation from the bench that they could never get through the elected representatives of the people in Congress. And that's what they're up to. And I'm telling you, it's a scary, scary thing.
Let me play a piece of audio. This is another thing that frightens me. I want to play this. This is Charlie Rangel. Listen to the way he's speaking about Barack Obama. Play this audio.
Who on Tuesday will be able to say, our hand been able to bring to us one of the greatest presidents we will ever see, Barack Obama. Who are we going to elect? Barack Obama. Who's the next president? Barack Obama. Who is our hero? Barack Obama. Who's going to lead us out of poverty? Barack Obama. Who's going to save the United States of America? Barack Obama. Who's going to save the entire world? Barack Obama. And who do we love? Barack Obama. God bless.
Stop. Senator, this is so far beyond anything we've ever seen before. This is so easily turned. And I'm not saying that Barack Obama would do this, but I believe there are forces in this country that would like to do it. This is the benevolent dictator that could come to our country at the drop of a hat. Somebody in this country does something stupid, and we could be in fascism, benevolent fascism, the next day.
Well, I don't think it'll take us to fascism. I think it'll take us to socialism and beyond. I mean, let's look at it. The National Journal says that he's the most liberal senator in the Senate. I can confirm that. Biden is the third most liberal. Hey, the fourth is Bernie Sanders, the avowed socialist. They're good people. I mean, I like them all, but don't think they're not from the far left. They are. And let me tell you something. Continually condemning Wall Street. Are you kidding? Wall Street's his biggest supporter. Wall Street has funded the Democrats' senatorial committee like you can't believe. Those people have to be nuts. They're sowing the seeds of their own destruction. And not everybody in Wall Street, but I'm talking about the vast majority of money has come right from Wall Street, and yet Obama acts like he's against Wall Street. Or Barack Obama. Well, let me tell you something. I believe the Constitution is hanging by a thread. I've been fighting to save it for all 32 years I've been in the Senate. And I think anybody who looks at it knows I've been in almost every fight that's been saving the Constitution. But now look at it. You have John McCain. Yes, he has some warts. He irritates people from time to time. But everybody knows he's a hero. Everybody knows he's tough. Everybody knows he wants to get spending under control. He's the only one who wants to get spending under control. He's taken on his own side. He's taken on the Democrats. Everybody knows that he's head and shoulders above Obama on national security and foreign policy. Obama thinks we've got to be loved by the Europeans. I'd rather be respected by the Europeans, and that's what you're going to get with McCain. They may love Obama, but they're going to love him because he wants to make us like the Europeans, like France.